Over to Jessica to get started.
Awesome. And if we, good afternoon, everybody. I must say good morning. If we could just share a screen, then we will go ahead and get going. And Jessica, I'll turn it over to you and get the screen queued on up.
Sure. Awesome. Hello, everybody. It's so good to see you all. And we're really excited to having you join our Bentley community. As Jill had mentioned, we are a group of staff who look at community health, safety, and well-being. And so we're going to just give some overviews of our departments and some programs and events, and then we'll have some more time through breakout spaces. So my name is Jessica Greher Traue. I am the Director of Wellness and Prevention here on campus, and I manage the Office of Wellness and Health Promotion. And that's like a lot of names and a lot of jargon, but essentially, I look at well-being and health promotion. So our thoughts for today for our time was we'll each go through introductions. We'll tell you a little bit about our offices, the services, again, that we offer. We've got a little Kahoot trivia queued up for you. And then we're going to provide some time in breakout spaces so that we can connect with you in slightly smaller groups, answer any questions you have, but also just talk a little bit about these topics from the standpoint of you all transitioning to students in this remote hybrid pandemic world that we're finding ourselves in.
Awesome. Hi, everybody. My name is Liz Humphries. I'm the Director of Student Conduct on campus and Title IX Coordinator. And I'm happy to join you all today. I'll turn it to Peter next, maybe.
Sure. Hi, I'm Peter Forkner. I'm the Director of the Counseling Center. And I'm excited to be here today and be able to tell you about our services.
Hello, everybody. My name is Frank Bourgeois. I'm the Chief of Police here at Bentley University, and I too am excited for this opportunity to talk to you. I have three of my colleagues here on the screen, and this whole thing about wellness is a joint effort. These are the folks that I work with regularly, and it's important for us to convey to you what's available and how committed to this we are. So, look forward to talking to you.
Perfect. So I'll go first and I'll tell you a little bit about the Office of Wellness and Health Promotion. So I know that you all via Falcon Live chat had a chance to probably connect with the director of the health center, and that's where you would go for kind of physical health issues, medical care. And that's an office that works very closely with my area as well as Peter's area. So the Office of Wellness and Health Promotion is located on campus above University Police. However, during pandemic, we are operating 100% remotely. That being said, we still have a lot of programs and services, and we're able to connect with students, and we'll tell you a little bit about that as we go through. So my department is really chaired with looking at all the things that can get in the way of academic success outside the classroom as they relate to your kind of personal health and well-being. So oftentimes we focus on topics like stress management, how to be successful with sleep, looking at substance abuse prevention, as well as cessation, and then relationships and interpersonal violence prevention. And so we coordinate a lot of different programs to improve community well-being, and oftentimes these are the topics that we're focusing on most. So we offer direct services via secure telehealth platforms. And those include individual and group health coaching. So health coaching, we could be talking with a student who maybe they are concerned that they're drinking too much alcohol and they want to learn a little bit more about like, how do I reduce risk around that? So we might have coaching sessions with students on that topic. And we're currently offering health coaching for students on sleep. We have a graduate assistant in our office who is doing a lot of work with individual students on sleep this semester. We also offer coaching on a variety of other topics, like students who are looking to eat healthier, students who are looking to become more organized. It really varies on individual goals, but just know that that's something that we're here for. And we also do a lot of work with students who choose to use substances and are wishing to cut back, or as I mentioned a moment ago, looking to eliminate risk. So for this coming semester, and for you all as students who are coming in, we wanted to let you know that we have two very active peer education groups on campus. The first are called the Wellness Educators, and they focus on general health and well-being topics. And the second group is the RSVP Educators, and that stands for the Relationship and Sexual Violence Prevention. So that group is a little bit more targeted in their reach, and they do a lot of education around consent and healthy relationships, dating, domestic violence, and stalking. We also are going to be rolling out a new bystander education program that will be hosted virtually, but that's basically builds community connections and encourages students to look out for one another. And how do you take action when you are experiencing a behavior of concern or you're worried about a friend? We are continuing with a program that was very successful last semester, and it's called the Good Vibes Happiness Series. And basically, it was just weekly challenges that took maybe 5 to 10 minutes for students to participate in. But these were challenges based on topics that are known to boost mood and well-being. And so while we were all kind of managing pandemic still in the fall, this was a really great way to engage students in a program that could boost their mood, and also just help build some of these stronger connections to campus and to other students. We also work in conjunction with the Spiritual Life Center to offer mindfulness and meditation on a weekly basis for students. And the final program that I'm really excited that we're going to be launching is called Project Connect. And that is a small group dialogue series that lasts about 4 to 5 weeks. So students who sign up for this will be paired with other students who they've never met before, and it's facilitated by our peer educators. And it's just a great way for you to casually get to know other students in this environment as we're still kind of managing more of this remote world. So there's lots of different ways that you can be up to speed on the different programs and resources. Just want to remind you that our websites are going to be updated if any operational changes need to happen with COVID. So please be sure to continuously check the Bentley website specific to our areas. And then also for health counseling and wellness, we do have an Instagram account, and it's at Bentley Health. And so, we encourage you to connect with us via the Instagram account, because we also will post any updates and operational changes there, as well as programs and a lot of good health education and information for students. So I'm going to turn it over to Peter now.
Hey, everybody. So as mentioned earlier, I'm Peter. I'm the director of the Counseling Center here at Bentley. And similar to what Jessica said, we also are located typically in the Callahan building, which is right above the police department on the second floor. But for the coming semester, we will also be operating completely remotely, which means that we're not meeting with anybody in person, but we have adjusted our protocols and our procedures such that we are able to meet with students just as well as if we were in person. So the main thing I'd like to do is sort of explain what the Counseling Center is and what we do. And if this feels like something that you're interested in and that you feel like you could benefit from, the one thing you need to remember is just call that number, 781-891-2274, and you can make an appointment. We also have a website, which is easy to find just by searching Counseling Center. It's right there, actually, the /counseling. So in the Counseling Center, we actually have 5 licensed psychologists and 3 doctoral practicum students and 1 administrative assistant. And for this semester, actually, we'll be hiring a psychiatrist who will be there part-time. So all of these people in our office are charged with sort of the mental health and well-being of our students. And so, I'll explain the process in a minute, but if you are struggling with sort of a mental health or emotional issue, you can call and meet with one of us. So the way I like to discuss it or to sort of explain it to people is that we want to meet with any student who's experiencing any level of mental health related distress. The last thing I want people to think when they think of the counseling center is that, oh, you know, my problem is too small, they don't have time, or for somebody who's struggling with what I'm struggling with. Or alternatively, I don't want to hear anybody thinking or hear that anybody has thought, oh, well, I'm not going to go to the counseling center because what I'm dealing with is just too much, it's too big. In fact, all of our staff are extremely well trained on college mental health issues, and we are able to help anybody regardless of how big or how small. The way we have it structured this year is that we will be meeting for a brief consultation appointment to begin with. So even if you know, you're not sure about whether we can be of help for you, that appointment is a great way to sort of touch base with one of our staff, and they'll sort of ask you a lot of background questions, get a good sense of sort of what you're going through, what you're experiencing, what your history has been like, and then make some recommendations. And for some people, we might be providing some short-term individual or group counseling. So our center has a model in which we see students for short-term, but we're able to sort of help you get through with what you're going through. However, if it's determined either the level of services you need is longer than sort of what we're able to offer, or you need more specific or intensive services, we have connections in the community and would be able to get you connected with you know, anybody who might be able to better serve you. But certainly I think students have found it really easy to come to us, learn about, sort of get a better sense of why they might be struggling, and then benefit from sort of our recommendations going forward. As I mentioned earlier, we're having a psychiatrist come on board. So a psychiatrist, for those of you who don't know, is different from a psychologist in that psychiatrists can prescribe medication. But I want to point out that if you're coming in already on medication, our psychiatrist, because of limited hours, is not able to sort of pick up those prescriptions. We have that psychiatrist sort of on board in case we're meeting with somebody who's maybe never met with a psychiatrist before and would benefit from a consultation. But ultimately, you know, again, if you're on medication, psychiatric medication, and are looking to continue getting prescriptions, then I would recommend that you continue with your previous provider. If for some reason you're struggling to find somebody who's more local, now this may not apply to those people who are you know, are staying at home, but we're able to we also have connections with psychiatrists in the community, and we can help you out with that referral if necessary. So often I'm asked when I do this kind of presentation is, so yeah, you said nothing's too small, nothing's too big, but what is it that you typically see? And I would say that more often than not, we're seeing for these reasons right here. So sometimes it's something, you know, just someone, and this is perfect for the orientation group, that, you know, having difficulty adjusting to Bentley, you know, that maybe you're sort of used to a different environment, or maybe you're struggling to find connections, or you're sort of separated from your family for the first time and are going through some things. That might be something that we see people for. Obviously, stress, anxiety or worry. You know, sometimes, you know, obviously coming to school, there's a lot going on, and it can be overwhelming. People have these sort of symptoms of anxiety pop up, or symptoms of depression where they're not feeling like themselves, or maybe having trouble sort of motivating themselves. We often see students who are struggling with relationship or family concerns. So, you know, things that are going on at home, or maybe there's relationships here at Bentley where you sort of need a perspective of somebody who's independent to sort of help you navigate these problems. We see students who are struggling with alcohol and drug use, students who are struggling with grief, and more recently, we've really seen many of our students. In fact, I believe in our survey last year, about 60% of the students who came to the counseling center said that their concerns were related to COVID, be that increased isolation, difficulty adjusting because of you know, the sort of parameters on getting together with other people, orienting, those kinds of things. So as you can see, we really see students who are sort of affected at every level. And I want to reinforce that sometimes we're able to sort of help you through that, but also we're a great place to go, and we can get you connected with other departments on campus who might be able to better serve you. I always like to point out that services are part of the cost of attendance, which means this is not going to cost you anything extra. So if you're worried about coming in and what it's going to cost, or maybe going through insurance, it's not something you have to worry about. Our services, you'll be able to meet with somebody. You don't have to present insurance. You don't have to pay out of pocket any sort of money. It's just already included in the cost of coming to Bentley. Also, equally as important, all of our services are completely confidential. So our staff are psychologists, and we are obligated to follow state laws with regards to confidentiality. So these are medical records. These are something that are not a part of Bentley records. They are completely separate. And so we take this very seriously, because I think a lot of students come to our office sort of having some questions. Maybe they've been struggling with something they haven't been able to share with anybody else before. And they're looking for some advice. And what they want to know is that whatever they tell us is not going to get back to anybody else without their permission. And so, in fact, so our rules are that we are not able to disclose anything that you've said in our sessions without your explicit written permission. That includes even just coming in for an appointment. So actually, we run into this problem all the time, where a student will come into our office and they'll meet with one of our staff, and they'll have a good interaction, and they'll talk to their parents about it. And then the parent will call and say, hey, Johnny came to your office today, and I know that he met with one of your staff. I'd love to talk to that person about it. And if we don't have on record your permission, written permission to speak with a parent, then we would have to say, I'm sorry, it sounds like you're hearing something about your son or daughter coming to this appointment today, but we can't disclose that information. So we can't confirm or deny whether you've been there. And we take that very seriously, which can be frustrating at times, but I think in the end, it's really important to build the confidence that students have to meet with us. So we're open 8:30 to 4:30, Monday through Friday. So that's really helpful. If you, as I mentioned before, you just need to call to make an appointment. We've sort of changed our structure this past year so that we are more available in the moment. So we have somebody on call now. There might be some delay if there's already a student being seen by the on-call person or something like that. But generally, we can see you right away. We would prefer, if possible, that you call and make an appointment. That makes things a lot easier. But certainly, if you're struggling or if it's an emergency, we will do whatever we need to be able to see you as soon as possible. But we also recognize that mental health emergencies or sort of emotional emergencies really don't only exist within the open hours of our office. So I also think it's important to point out that we have a on-call after hours clinicians who will be able to talk you through whatever you're going through if something happens outside of those hours. So all you need to do is, again, call that number, 781-891-2274, and there'll be a prompt that would, you can press a button and you'll be connected with the after hours care. So certainly keep that number in mind, even if you're not planning on making an appointment right now, just in case something comes up. Now I'll pass it on to Chief Bourgeois.
All right. Well, first and foremost, let me start with this. I want to welcome you to Bentley University and also congratulate you on getting into Bentley University. This is not an easy place to get into. And what it tells me about each of you is that how much you've done prior to this point in your life to position yourself to get into one of the finest business institutions in this country. And I mean that. I'm not only the chief of police here or a staff member here, I'm also a dad of a sophomore. And I know firsthand how hard she had to work to be accepted here. And that I know that equally you too had to do the same. So this university obviously has a tremendous amount of confidence in you to be able to not only survive here, but to thrive here. And I'm looking forward to meeting all of you and to seeing you all, launch yourselves in the future off of this great Bentley platform. I joined Bentley University about almost 3 years ago now. And when I was asked during my interview why I wanted to come here, the answer was obvious. I had come from an institution that had close to 20,000 students in Boston. And why did I want to come here? Because there was a sense of community here that I hadn't felt elsewhere. Folks were numbers at other places, and here people are names, people are people. And so I've really not only, I mean, I knew that that's what I was walking into, but what I've learned since I've been here is there's such a commitment to community here. There is such a team approach to making sure that everybody's successful and everybody does well here. And I'm proud to be a part of that team. And the 3 colleagues that I have here with me today are equally committed to your success and your future. You know, your collegiate experience is so much more than what goes on inside the classroom. That's a portion, and a very important portion, but it's only a portion of your day. The remainder of the time is your social engagement. It's your experience outside of the classroom, and that's where we kind of step in to help you out. We do a survey each year, and I have to say we haven't done one since 2019 because of COVID, but we asked folks during this survey how safe they felt on campus. And I'm very happy to report that 98% of the students felt safe on campus. Not just that they felt safe walking around, but I think there's also a sense of safety knowing that there's a support system in place if you're having a bad day. You may want to remember that 98%. That might be something that might pop up later on in this presentation. A little bit about our department. We run obviously 24/7. We are a fully accredited, fully licensed, if you will, police department, no different than the municipalities that you come from. We are 24/7, 365, and our officers are trained in many different areas. One of them that we train annually on is mental health, and it's become such a prominent piece of police work, not just on campuses, but in all municipalities, that it's important that we stay above that. Just recently, we completed a training on first aid mental health. We also have a number of officers that have been through the FBI crisis negotiation classes, and we're very much committed to that. The bottom line is this: in my 30 years experience in policing, people have a bad day. It's going to happen. And our job is to help you through that bad day. Now, here at the university, we go out of our way to make sure that somebody doesn't get arrested and somebody doesn't end up in the judicial system, although sometimes it does happen. We want to be there for you when you're having a bad day. We want to use the resources available here in this university, those that have already been explained to you and others, to make sure that we can get you back on that right track. And I have nothing but confidence, having worked with Dr. Forkner and with Liz Humphries, who's going to speak to you next, about ways that we can get you back on track without compromising your future and your criminal history, if you will. We want to make sure that we can handle stuff internally best we can, and we do a great job at that. I should have started off with the screens, but this first screen right here, I chose this screen because this is what you get here at Bentley. You get a bunch of officers with smiles that are on bicycles. They're accessible, and we're here for you at the end of the day. And you know where we're located, and hopefully you'll see us all over campus. And anything we can do to support you, please let us know. Another representation of our reputation with the students and how we'd like to approach our community. To the left there on your screen is Officer Travis Rixford, also affectionately known as Officer Trav. And he's a big piece to the community policing of our department, and everybody knows who he is. And what I love about Officer Travis is that at a time when someone's having a bad day, they don't just call the police department. They may reach out to him directly or to some other officer directly. And that's the type of relationships that we want to have. On this next screen is a bit of an infographic, and I'm just going to touch on a couple of things here. On the top middle of your screen, you saw me talk about the 98% of the students that feel safe on campus. We also distribute annually a crisis security and safety report, and there's a lot of great information in there. You can access it off of our website, and not only does it list all of the number of incidents that we have on campus, but resources that are available to you. over 4,000 contacts, over 40 different campus events, although those have reduced because of COVID right now. We will get back to that. And we also have a RAD class that we teach, which is one of a number of things that we engage with within the community. And that's a rape progression defense class. We've had 81 students pass that in the last 4 years. We also teach classes on CPR, first aid, work with Greek life in matters like that to contribute to our community. The next screen is something that's near and dear to my heart, and I want to say it was my first real contribution to this university. This is Blue. Blue is our comfort dog for the university, and he joined us sometime around last summer. Having had a seat in seeing firsthand the amount of anxiety and pressures that exist in college campuses, and the contributions that canines can make. A lot of colleges will bring in dogs during finals, they'll bring in dogs during midterms, and they'll have these little areas and have kind of like these de-stress type events. And I think it was more important to have our own dog here on our roster full time. So Blue is a certified comfort dog. He's around on days, and he's with Officer Traue Barcus, and he attends all type of events. If you see Blue, he's a great dog. Feel free to pet him, say hello, and I have no doubt that you will run into him. The next screen I have for you is a picture of our UTV. Now, why am I showing you a picture of our UTV? I think this again goes to the importance of the sense of community. I wanted to make sure that our officers get out of the cruisers and that we engage with folks and we talk to them. We've used this in conjunction with the Res Life team to go around and hand out candy on Fridays or popsicles. We have a big thermos in the back that we'll fill with hot chocolate. We'll drive this around at campus events. And it's just an opportunity to get out of the cruiser and to have conversations with folks. I've even used it to give people a ride to campus on days of inclement weather or whatnot. So if you see us driving around on the UTV, please wave and say hello. In closing, I just want to offer you this. We here at Bentley University, and I truly mean this, we're one team with one goal. And I am so proud of the work that not only my colleagues on the screen do with well-being and health, but all of us, especially in student affairs, how dedicated we are to make sure that you have a great ride here. So I look forward to meeting each of you around campus in the near future. And please stop by University Police anytime you need anything at all, 24 hours a day. With that, good luck, and I'll see you soon.
If I may, sorry to butt in like this, but could I just quickly ask you a question?
Absolutely.
I was looking at your safety prevention protocols, and I didn't see anything about, I know some schools have the blue light campus safety option thing. Is that available around campus?
Yes, absolutely it is. In fact, we're even redoing the system as we speak. So there are a number of blue lights around campus. As you stand in any one spot, you should, for the most part, be able to identify a blue light. When you push that button, it goes directly to our dispatch center, which is on 24/7. And many of these blue lights also have, some of them also have a camera on top. We have close to 300 closed circuit cameras on campus, and we monitor those as well. And I will also add that inside each dormitory on each floor, there are emergency call boxes. You can press a button and immediately be put in contact with a dispatcher. And we have close to 400 on campus of those as well. So hopefully that answers your question.
Okay, thank you so much. You know, I'm a good-looking man, and so if someone were to try to take me away, I want to know that I have some protection.
We'll be there for you. No worries. No worries at all.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
All right, everybody. So my turn is up now. Again, my name is Liz Humphries, and I'm the Director of Student Conduct on campus, as well as the Title IX Coordinator. So two different things, and I will touch upon each of them. If at this point you have not gotten this sense, I do want to just make clear that we really do approach how we support each other, how we support students, this whole campus community, whether it is in person or remote, in a really holistic approach, a really team-driven way. You know, Chief just mentioned one team. one jersey. And that's really how we want to show up, and we have the benefit to show up for, again, each other and for you all, and have you all be very much a part of that. So again, as if you haven't gathered yet, we work really much a lot in tandem. Even, you know, Bobby Lynn and Jill working much more closely with you all throughout this program, but in terms of really gathering from them, you know, how are the students doing? How's the pulse? What can we, you know, maybe touch upon preventatively? They get that information or are able to kind of keep us in the loop and get what they need from us to also help support you in whatever initiatives we are doing as a division of student affairs or as a campus. So in terms of student conduct, this is often, I think, a term that it can be a really loaded word. What I want you to take away from it is that student conduct is meant to be an educational process. It is not meant to be a court of law. It is not meant to be a trial. It is not meant to be, you know, anything like that. And one way that we really do pride ourselves on having a good conduct system or judicial system, if you've heard that elsewhere, if you are coming in as a transfer student and may have heard that at a previous institution, is to really have, again, a strong structure in place where we can simply have a conversation. That at the end of the day is the goal. In no way am I anticipating or pre-predicting that any of you all may end up through the conduct system. However, again, we know as part of human nature and also as part of the college student atmosphere that happens. And that's why policies are created and are in place so that we can also have conversations around, you know, why perhaps sometimes they are not upheld to the way that they are intended to be, and how we can help collectively avoid any future incident or recidivism or repeat behavior that, again, is really put into place for your health and safety, but also for everybody else on campus. So one way that you all coming in, if you have not seen or heard this yet anywhere, we have a student handbook, which again is very common to other institutions if you've seen elsewhere. Inside the student handbook has perhaps, I don't want to say too much information, but it's a very dense document where it has really any and everything that you might need in terms of what is expected of you all on campus in terms of behavior, what you can expect from us as an institution, whether that be, you know, something in the residence halls to help kind of guide how you can be successful as a residential student, or how it can help kind of guide academic success in a classroom now more than ever in both the atmosphere that is entirely remote, or maybe even that blend, that hybrid blend of sometimes in person, sometimes remote. So I think for me as a person, context is something that I really value in terms of having a person feel like they can interpret and really comprehend as they would like to. And so it is purposefully, again, a large document to be able to really provide you with that context and outline of what you know, we do expect of you all. As part of being a matriculated Bentley student, which you officially all now are, you are expected to uphold, you know, what is included within the student handbook by way of policies. We are not going to go over them in depth at all right now, but I show you again the screenshot of this document to really have you kind of keep an eye out when you do see it either on the Bentley website. I myself will be emailing it out next week during the first week of classes each semester. We typically send out, again, a reminder of here's the handbook, here's how you can get in touch with staff if you have any questions about it. And we can kind of, you know, we'll talk to students about it if we need to from there. But that is when you all can expect to receive it again next week if you haven't already. In terms of who the conduct staff are, again, I am the director of the office, and I am very happy to share with you that Anthony Major serves as the assistant director of student conduct. Both myself and Anthony have actually been at Bentley for several years now and come from a entirely housing and residence life background. So I think for me, in terms of looking at our residential environment on campus, now blended in with the off-campus environment of our campus community, it's a really cool way to look at, again, how we can still form a community, even with people truly spread throughout the world at this point. And Anthony, in stepping into the conduct role, has really, you know, had some really creative and cool ideas for how we can hopefully keep folks in touch and keep engaging, even through student conduct. Again, no matter for how long we are in this kind of blend of modalities, if you will. Outside of the two of us, we also have conduct hearing officers. And for the most part, they are made up of staff from the residential center. So if you are intending to live on campus, it might be your residence director. It could be an assistant director of the residential center, associate director, depending upon, again, the nature of the incident that is documented. New this semester, we are actually expanding a little bit and have added a few additional staff members from student affairs outside of conduct, outside of housing, to serve as hearing officers, really as a way to be able to connect with students, again, to get to that really holistic and multidisciplinary approach. So for example, one of our graduate students from Student Programs and Engagement will be joining the conduct team and will have a chance to get to know students through the conduct setting. And up until this point, students really haven't had the ability to, again, get to know a staff member or another person who might work with Greek life and student programs and engagement, but again, is having a conversation around expectations, accountability, how growth can form, through student behavior. So I'm excited about that in terms of, I think, the offerings that we can have for students and the ways that we can keep connecting with each other as a community. We will have, it's not quite there yet, but we have a student conduct board that, again, given the nature with the pandemic and COVID, we have not utilized, I would say, really since prior to when the pandemic began, given the nature of what student conduct has been and that everybody is scattered all over. So my hope is to be able to really, I should say to you all, for your fall 2021 semester, my hope is to be able to have a more fully functioning student conduct board available at that time. What this could mean for you all by way of student involvement is that that conduct board is made up of a panel of student peers in addition to some staff members. And so as you are considering, once you get immersed into the campus community, what areas of involvement you want to take on, maybe blend it in with whatever your academic pursuits might be. If you, in the back of your mind, are like, that could be a really cool opportunity to serve on a judicial board, a conduct board, even as a brand new student, keep that in your mind, because that will be something that we are looking to engage students with and have input and feedback for even how, we can form it and really factor in students into, again, that peer-to-peer accountability. So sneak peek that you all get before anybody else. On a real kind of basic overview of what happens when a incident is documented. This is very much a 1, 2, 3 step process. So step 1, an incident report is submitted due to an alleged policy violation. Always, everything is an allegation in terms of when something is submitted. So it is an allegation that quiet hours have been violated. It is an allegation that a student was documented for repeatedly failing to wear a mask. That's when we get to the actual meeting itself. And this is the part that is the most, I would say, crucial to the conduct process, is the actual conversation between the student or group of students and a hearing officer to really say and have a chance to speak about, this is the allegation of behavior that was concerning or in question. What happened? And then students will always have a chance to be able to share their side of the story, for lack of a better term, or to be able to really showcase, this is what happened from my perspective. Maybe that conversation will then entail, how can we avoid this from happening again in the future? But it will always be a conversation and a chance for all students to feel like they have their voice heard. And in an event where a student doesn't have their voice heard, first, I would like to know about it, because that's not okay to me as the director of this office, but also that's not fair to the student. However, much like other systems, we have an appeals process. So anytime a incident is heard through a conduct hearing, there's a responsible finding, and it's always going to be, was this individual allegation responsible or not responsible? If it's not responsible, end of story. If there is a responsible finding, then typically that's when what we would call a sanction or an outcome would be associated with it. More commonly than not, they're meant to be educational sanctions, so that, again, we can really focus on the learning and not necessarily on the punitive or the tasky nature of what student behavior is. And there's always an appeals process, again, because we really want to ensure that our students have a fair chance to have their voice heard. And if you feel like that was not achieved during the first conduct hearing itself, that's why we have the appeals process, to, again, be able to formally circle back and ensure that your perspective is factored into that conversation. A little bit about Title IX, and I'm going to go relatively quickly over this, and that is because it is a very, I would say, detailed and lofty side of an adjudication process on campus. It is an adjudication process. However, it is a federal law, is Title IX itself. Over really this past summer in the media, it got a little bit more notoriety, so folks have heard of it. We just had a new set of regulations that were put into place in August 2020, issued by the federal government. So this comes directly from the Department of Education in conjunction with the Office of Civil Rights. But it's a federal law that any institution of higher education or K through 12 must follow if we receive federal funding. We do as Bentley University, and as do most, institutions of education to any degree. So we get a lot of the bits and pieces, again, provided to us from the federal government, but we have our own ability to apply it to our campus and to our community. So in basic terms, Title IX is really, it's a gender-based harassment and discrimination law. It actually started back in the early 70s, more from the NCAA collegiate athletics lens in terms of funding. That is still very much applicable and a part of Title IX, but more commonly and more recently, it's really been developed and expanded to include gender-based harassment and discrimination, much of which either we have to comply with again federally, and that's where my office works extremely closely with Chief Bourgeois' office and with Jessica's office in terms of wellness prevention, by ensuring, what are the crimes that we do have to, again, report federally versus what are the conversations that we still need to have within our adjudication system, but again, can be tailored and decided upon essentially by Bentley as an institution. In terms of staff, myself, and then there are 3 deputy Title IX coordinators. Deputy really, it just means assistant essentially. It's a very, again, legally driven and federal word that it has to be deputy, but Justin Woodard is an associate director in the residential center. If you have not seen or heard from him yet, you will be very soon, I'm confident of it. And he has worked as a deputy for student support with me for the last 2.5 years or so. Courtney Finn is one of our assistant directors in athletics, and she's actually a Bentley alum herself. And she works with me on NCAA compliance. Again, I mentioned everything from funding related to intercollegiate athletic teams, but there's a whole lot more by way of compliance to ensure equity amongst gender, amongst any student that we have here that is, again, funded and supported by Bentley. And then we have Kelly Kelleher, who works with staff and faculty related concerns in Title IX. Title IX, because it is a federal law, it is applicable to any and all people within the university. And so staff, faculty, our third-party vendors, guests that come onto campus, anybody that we really have a duty to ensure a sense of safety to be well-being on campus, that is who, we could apply this law to. I won't go through these again individually, but you can take a look. So some of the all of the policy violations, in fact, are listed in here directly from the Title IX policy. The ones that I just want to highlight are the 4, they're called the Violence Against Women Act crimes, VAWA. And that was something that President-elect Joe Biden created, I believe it was 2008, I want to say, a while back. But sexual assault, sexual harassment, stalking, and relationship abuse is what our policy is called. Dating, domestic violence, more in the court system. But those are the 4 policy violations that process through Title IX, but are also crimes per the law. And so those are the statistics essentially that also per federal regulation have to get reported to the Department of Education. I work directly with our lieutenant within University Police to really make sure that those the information that is needed is passed along to the government. Anything that you see on the screen right here, again, would be something that my team would really review and be able to provide support to for any person who feels that they have had one of these policies violated against them, about them, around them, whatever it may be, or simply if they just want to be able to come in and talk and say, this is something I'm thinking about. How can I learn more? What are some other resources on campus again that I can go to be directed at? And that might be somebody who's coming in to say, I have experienced a really traumatic event. I would like to talk to you about it. However, I don't want to do anything with that. I don't want to have to go through a process, a legal ramification at all. And then what I would say is, let me introduce you to some of our fully confidential resources, such as Dr. Peter Forkner. to, again, provide that support for a person who wants to be able to talk, but also have the security in their mind of knowing that they can say whatever they want, get it off their chest, and really begin that healing and processing. But also that they have the ability and the power to say, I don't want to go through a Title IX process right now. I just want to talk to somebody. That's not something that I can provide, but again, we are equipped on campus to be able to provide that to students or to whomever might be looking for it at any point. I mentioned all people have a right to file a report through the Title IX system and or in conjunction with university police. Chief mentioned Officer Travis Rixford as one of our, I would say, main people that we would direct from the Title IX lens to him to speak with. In addition, Lieutenant Jessica Roach. The two of them, along with Jessica, myself, and some other folks, sit on a committee for a grant that we were awarded. And we really focus on, again, the ways that we can improve campus culture and make it a better place for folks. But Travis and Lieutenant Roach are two that are I don't even want to say the word committed because that applies to everybody, but are two of our go-to people that I can say, you know what, fill in the name, the blank student, here's an exact person that I can connect you with. And I will say, to be on a campus where I can say, yep, I'm going to connect you with Lieutenant Jessica Roach, it is a much easier and better scenario than just to be able to say, yep, just go find any random officer. That's not what Bentley's about. That's not who we are or what we're like. You'll be provided with a name and a contact and really that personal and familial kind of support. And that's the hope anyway, that you feel that. We have many of the resources that we've discussed on here. The only one that I want to mention are two within the local community. So the Boston Area Rape Crisis Center, Barc is the acronym for short, and Reach Beyond Domestic Violence. Their main offices are in the city, but we are very lucky to have satellite offices right here in Waltham that we work regularly with to be able to either refer students to or sometimes have them come on into campus to be able to engage in some form of a training or a learning opportunity. And so we are lucky as a campus to be able to say that we have the connections that we do with the local partners within the community. All right. So that was my spiel. I said Title IX was going to be quick and then it wasn't. But so we're at the point of our session here where hopefully some of this information, stuck with you. We know already that you all are receiving a ton of information and are looking at a lot of Zoom screens, and we get that. It's hard. And so just to have a little bit of fun now, we'll go through this Kahoot game, which is new to me, and kind of test your knowledge a little bit. And we'll fill in the answers too. So that way you can minimally leave here, hopefully feeling like you have the resources and information you need to know for how to get back in touch with us. I turn it over to Jill.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, so Evan will just share up his screen. But in the meantime, if you all want to open up a new browser or your phone and go to kahoot.it, I just put that link in the chat. And then once you get there, you can put in this pin that you see on your screen right here, and it'll prompt you for a name, a nickname, an alias, whatever you want to go by. Go ahead, pop that in, and then we can start playing once we have everyone in. All right, we'll give you 30 more seconds. Get your names in. second names. We'll get started. All right, go ahead, get started, I think. Oh, one more. All right, which of the following is a peer education group out of wellness and HP? Is it peers on wellness, wellness educators, wellness warriors, or health influencers and peers? All right, the WEs, the wellness educators. All right, next question. Currently, wellness and HP staff offer individualized health coaching on which of the topics? Is it stress management, safer sex, sleep, or substance abuse? Trick most of y'all. The answer is sleep.
Yeah, so we cover all of those topics, but individual coaching right now from our graduate student is focusing on sleep this semester.
Aiden in first place. Which two wellness programs are launching in February? Is it Good Vibes and Connect, Project Connect, Wellnest and Build a Better Bedtime Routine, Bringing in Bystander and Sleep for Success, or Self-Care Bear and Finish Health? Good Vibes and Project Connect. We got some listeners in our group. Aiden's still holding strong at number 1. All right, number 4. Wellness and HP staff advise a second peer education group called the RSVPs. Which topic do they promote? Is it healthy relationships and consent, fitness and nutrition, sleep and safer sex, or stress management and mindfulness? Yes, healthy relationships and consent. Is Aiden still in first place? He is. All right, where is the best place for a student to find information and expectations around campus policies? Is it asking a friend, in the student handbook, on social media, or in campus groups? In the student handbook. Very good. All right, true or false? When a student is documented for an alleged policy violation, they have a meeting with a conduct hearing. Is that true or false? It is true. Very good. Oh, no one can take the lead away from Aiden. He's too fast. All right. So if a student wanted to speak with a confidential resource on campus, they would go to the Counseling Center, Spiritual Life Center, the Health Center, or all of the above. All of the above.
Awesome. One thing I just want to re-emphasize in there. So you'll receive more information about this later from the Title IX lines. It's also in the student handbook, but we have what we call confidential resources on campus, different than responsible employees. For example, myself, Bobby Lynn, Jill, Chief, we're all responsible employees in that if we hear or if we receive a disclosure of, again, a crime or any sort of a policy violation, we are mandated to report that up. Typically, that generally comes directly to me and then me alone. Peter, as we mentioned, is a licensed doctor as well. And so he is a confidential resource. The Spiritual Life Center and the Health Center are also confidential resources. So think of anybody from, what you might find for HIPAA protected, that is confidential. Pastoral care, that falls within spiritual life, that is confidential as well. So just so you can get a sense of the distinguishment between the two there.
Great, thank you. Oh, we got some movement here, but Aiden's still holding strong. All right. Number 8, what percentage of our community feels safe on campus? Is it 60%, 85%, 98%, or 30%? Yes, most people were listening. 98%.
Jill, can I share with you an embarrassing moment?
Yes.
I've been clicking on my screen instead of on my phone, and I'm in 24th place because I got nothing right so far. So I'm catching up now.
All right, true or false? UP attends mental health training annually to best position us to support our students where needed. Is that true or false? Hopefully you get this right, Chief. Very good. True. Oh, Marissa has a streak of 6. Maybe she'll take Aiden out of first place. All right. The name of the Bentley dog is it Flex, Falcon, Blue, or Blue? Very good. Oh, Marissa took Aiden out of first place. Way to go. All right, true or false? I'm able to meet with one of the counseling staff members in person. A long one. We still got 40 seconds.
We'll go till we hit 30 seconds.
Yeah. Oh, close. So that one's false.
Yeah, and I want to just emphasize that this is only for this particular semester. If outside of the pandemic, we will be able to meet with people in person again, but for now it's just remotely. Just call that number and make an appointment, and we have a virtual waiting room that you'll be able to go into and meet with one of our staff.
Movement. Walter is the highest climber, but he didn't make it to the top of the leaderboard yet. What percentage of students using the counseling center use the counseling center at least once during their time at Bentley? Is it 10 to 15%, 15 to 20%, 20 to 25%, or 25 to 30%?
Five more seconds.
Yes, 25 to 30%.
Good for you who got it, because I didn't mention it, so it must have been intuitive.
All right, true or false? I'm only able to get live mental health support during the hours the counseling center is open. Is that true or false?
Go until 40 this time.
That's right. We have, just call that phone number and you can access our after hours care.
Oh, making a comeback with only one question left, 2 questions left. Let's see. Oh, last question. Is Aiden going to take it all home? True or false? The only way to get mental health info or support is by making an appointment with a staff member at the counseling center.
Ten more seconds.
That is false. Oh, the big reveal. Third place is Andy. Oh, and Marissa in second. I wonder who could be in first. Very good. All right, I think now we're going to pop into some breakout rooms.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Jill, for operating that game as
Yeah.
well. Well, hopefully you all had a little bit of fun and laughs with that anyways. I sure did over here. So thanks for engaging with us. But yeah, we will at this point break up into breakout rooms, really just to have a chance for you all to, have some more time to ask us any questions that you might have, and we can have more casual conversation there. So I believe Chief and myself will be in one room, and then Jessica and Peter will be in another room, and you'll have a chance. You will stay, we will flip flop, so you'll have a chance to get in front of all of us. So we'll see you in your breakout room. Chief, Jessica, Peter, and I can hang around if folks have any final remaining questions, but otherwise we turn it back over to Bobby, Lynn, Jill, and your orientation leaders.
Yeah, if there's no more questions, we can wrap up, but we wanted to just remind you that you guys have your orientation group times at 4, and those will be through your links on your Bentley Connect, so you'll go right into your group meetings. And then also later tonight, if you are on an F1 visa, we have the International Student Visa session, and that starts at 7. And then we also have Falcons After Dark with lots of really awesome prizes and lots of fun. That starts at 8:30 Eastern time. So come to that if you want to connect with some more people. And then also make sure that you're going in and completing your self-guided courses that are that are through the week, the EverFi courses that you need to be completing. And then also make sure that you are checking your Bentley email. You have to complete a Bentley Plus assessment. So that'll be in your email. That should have came yesterday. So make sure that you're going in and completing that prior to our Bentley Plus workshop tomorrow. And then tomorrow we have yoga in the morning, and then a few more workshops and a few more group meetings. We have our DEI workshop, our diversity inclusion workshop, and we have our Bentley Plus workshop in the afternoon. So if there's no more questions, we'll stick around. The presenters will stick around, but if there's no more questions, we'll see you back in your group meetings at 4. I think it is. Yep.